Carl Miller. I'm Vice President of the Appalachian Model Railroad Society. We're currently located in our club space where we're here every Monday morning and Thursday evenings where our club meets. This is the 35th annual Kiowa Model Train Show. It used to be at Greenbow. And what we have is up in the old Joanne Fabric space, we have about 80 vendors that are actually selling and collecting memorabilia. 2 layouts up there engaged in HO. And then here in the room next door, we have about 10 layouts. So we're asking everybody to come on down today and tomorrow and have some fun with trains. Our template was keep all the vendors in one room. So if people were looking to buy something, find something, or get information, all the vendors were in one spot. And then we filled in the gap with a couple layouts. And then we put all the other layouts out down at the other end, the other room we had, because we figured anybody come to see trains would find that as well, and they wouldn't be disappointed there's no vendors down there because they're looking to run trains. So that was the plan for the show and how we set it up. This is Western Hobbies down at Scott Depot, and he's a hobby shop. Unfortunately, the last one within 50 miles of this area, speak of, that's any kind of size. So Chuck comes in here, and he participates in both shows, and he's got anything you want to get a hold of. Chuck pretty well can fix you up. The rest of the vendors are what we call collectors, and they'll have a combination of old stuff, some new stuff. So if you're looking for things that are 30 years old, you got something that's broken, need a spare part, or things like that, you'll be amazed what these people get involved with. And if they don't have it, they'll know what it is and where to get it. So there's a lot of information sitting in this room right here, because unfortunately, you see most of the folks are my age or older. And the good news is, that's the bad news. The good news is that's a lot of experience and knowledge. With the kids, what we let them do is several of the layouts have interactivity. They can push buttons, blow whistles, have the command and control. A lot of them have log loaders, coal loaders. It goes back to the 40s and 50s in trains. The other thing people can do if they're into collectibles, there's a lot of old trains. It's not that time of year for Christmas yet, but if you're looking for early Christmas, there's a lot of things to look at and buy that is associated with trains.
What kind of trains is that? A diesel locomotive, right. Do you see any steamies? No. What color train is it? The blue one? Do you like diesels or do you like steam?
I like diesel.
Diesel what?
Diesel locomotive.
Diesel locomotive.
Used to be one of our youngest members. This is his engage.
We usually come here every Thursday nights from around 5:30 to 8, and I had this for about 3 years, and I've been working on it lately, and it's never ending. N scale, HO, O, G, S, Z scale, TT scale, and then you got up to where the riding trains come into.
Well, most all of us are O-gauge modelers. What the club does, like in instance of myself, I don't have a space to have a layout at home, and they have that here. They give us an outlet to bring our trains and actually run our trains on a layout that belongs to the club. To model the particular gauges we do requires a lot of space, quite a bit of space actually. The layout we have here is actually roughly 16 by 34. You don't put that in a spare bedroom at home, in most houses anyway. So that's really the main interest of most of us. Some of us have layouts at home. A couple of members are building layouts currently, but for me personally, it's an outlet to run my trains that I don't have at home. I said modeler in the beginning. I'm more of an operational guy. You get over there and look at the controls. The trains have brakes, they have throttle controls. I mean, there's a lot of different things you can do with these trains now than you could when you were a kid. And I lean more towards that than the modeling. Modeling's not so much my thing as I actually prefer the operations. We try the best we can to run our railroads like real railroads. Sometimes it works out better than others, but we do the best we can for 1/48 scale, 1-to-1 scale. On a layout like this, you had to make a lot of sacrifices, I guess you would say. Real railroads are mostly point-to-point and a lot of switching, but if you really look around and you know how the yard systems work and all that. We do the best we can, but at the same time, there's a lot of sacrifices there. Real railroad staging yard, the Russell Yard over here is a couple miles long. You know, even in O scale, that would be a massive facility. And, you know, you look at like the HO size trains versus these, you can do a lot more with the smaller trains in a smaller space, obviously, but we do the best we can with what we have size-wise. So.
Well, the Appalachian Model Railroad Society is about 35 members. We range from anywhere from 5-year-olds. You see Jackson in the background. He's our youngest member running trains. In this cup space, we have an O-gauge layout that's pretty sophisticated. Actually, you can run it off your iPhone. It's 30 by 18. The HO right in front of us is 34 by 18, and it actually won a national contest for Ray Grosner, who we bought it off of. So this is really a highly recognized layout. And then we got some N-gauge layouts here as well. So anything you want to see with model railroading as far as running them, you will see here at the mall today. Most of us have layouts in our home. A lot of them are retired from the railroad. Marathon Oil, I retired from the Corps of Engineers. So all of us are usually associated and grew up. Most of us are in our 60s and 70s. Our dad got us a train when we were 10, and we make a joke. We're a bunch of old guys that never grew up. But all of them have some connection to railroading in that regard. And one of the guys in the background here at Oak is an electrical engineer who, again, the nice thing about railroading is you can paint, you can construct, you can have woodworking, you can do electrical work. It's one of those hobbies that anything you can imagine you can do. So you can reconstruct reality. I mean, you can take your imagination and you can build a town to whatever you can imagine. You can paint mountains, you can put lights in, you can put flashing lights into cars, you can have recordings, you can record your own voice. You can even put your own voice in whatever on the trains nowadays and you do your own sound. You can be the engineer. So the appeal is, to me, is it just has a wide variety of things you can do. If you can think it, you can imagine, you construct it with model railroad.
You know, grown men playing with toys, we love it. Almost since I was born, and I'm 67 now, so I've got my first train set probably when I was about 3 or 4. I've never been without a train set. And then you move up to different scales and different levels of, you know, the technical aspects and layout building. But I've been doing it for so long, it's like part of my life. It's like who I am, you know. I sometimes wonder, why am I doing this? How did this happen, you know? But I'm like a train guy. But it's fun. People come through and they say, well, this is nice, but it doesn't really float my boat. I don't really care. But, you know, there'll be people that like to build cars, or they like to hunt and fish, and or sports people just go crazy going to sports events. And I like that too, by the way. But I don't know. A bunch of us just ended up, we never gave up our playing with trains when we were kids. Of course, everybody loves the trains themselves, the engines. Almost any guy that plays with model railroads can tell you all about the different engines and everything about them. I am a scenery guy. I'm not really a big train guy. I like building little worlds. So see, that's a totally different thing. You got collectors who collect trains, and then a lot of people like the track and the technology. There's lots of technology, which baffles me because I'm an old guy. You know, I didn't grow up with computers, so I have to really study to get into the technology. But I just love building the layouts, the little worlds. And I told the guys when we came down, I said, I'm not running any trains. I'm just going to go around making sure the layouts look good. I've been building my own layout. I was always in with groups. Matter of fact, the Kanawha Valley group that's down on the other end of the mall, I was originally joined that group. And we built a layout, and then we built this layout later. And we were always having to share the layout with other people. I said, boy, I ought to make a little layout so I always get to run a train. And then that led to building another layout, and then another layout, and then another layout. Now my whole house is filled with train layouts. This layout represents a steel manufacturing operation. And I did not know anything about making steel, so I had to get a book. But they actually most of these are kits. There's a little bit of scratch building on here. I used to work for Union Carbide. When they shut down their model shop, I got all this piping and stuff, which was a big help. But this actually, if you know anything about steel, you can actually follow the process. Everything here is part of the steel making process. We got 2 blast furnaces, and I've been real fortunate to find all the little train cars that haul hot metal and all the other haul hot slabs of steel. There are a bunch of guys that make those, so I've been fortunate enough to buy some of those. And it makes it kind of, it's pretty realistic. I've had people who work in the steel industry come by here and say, hey, you got it right. You can build the kits, but you got to fill in, you know, all the other stuff. It's like, okay, I got a blast furnace, and then I've got, okay, you need to make that hot air someplace, so you need a place to heat that up. So I made that. But anyway, yeah, sometimes you can't get the model you want, so you have to build it. Well, actually, this was a club layout. As it turns out, I've built 3 of the modules, and one of our old members built this coal mining operation. He built, I forget how many company houses are there, 12, I think. He built that kit 12 times, and he couldn't come to shows anymore. He had COPD, and he said, you guys can have that if you promise me you won't change a thing on the layout, because it actually is, if you know coal mining, there's a lot of stuff on there that only a person that grew up in a coal camp would recognize. The day of the week, it's like everybody's doing their laundry. I think that's Monday. I don't know. I didn't grow up in a coal camp. But yeah, the other 3 modules actually at different times have belonged to other people. But as they moved away and quit, I had to jump in and fill them all in. But it's basically all the track and it was a group effort. But every time they want to fill in a gap of it with scenery, hey Ron, fill this in. This is actually built on 4 doors. People have done that in the past, and my buddy had these doors, and so there are 4 doors. You know, the 2 side pieces and the 2 end pieces make up the doors, and we just built layouts, laid track, and built the scenery and stuff right on top of them. But yeah, modular, that's the only way you can take a big layout. If you want to do train shows, you have to have smaller pieces and then put them together. Now my thing for myself is trying to build them small enough that they'll fit in a 4x8 bed of a truck. So I've got a whole bunch of layouts that are around 4x8 or a little smaller.
We got a guy that's in the club that's Burnham, so we got Burnham Toys. But you got CHM2 Love down Huntington. So we named a lot of the buildings after the members of the club. See, the O gauge are big enough you can fill the windows in. Here's one of the things I like to do is, see, this is the Appalachian Model Railroad Society, which is the room we're in. And if you look in the window, there's this layout, okay, and there's the guys working on the layout. So that's kind of the beauty of model railroading. You can actually put yourselves in the building. I got one grandson that I've got him upstairs and downstairs, and he asked me, Grandpa, how can I be in the building twice? And I said, oh, you didn't realize if you got a twin.
I'm pretty new to the club. I've only been with them about a year. This started out as plain plywood about 10 years ago, and it's came a long way. So they've really done a nice job with it. And this club, like any other club, you know, everybody wants different stuff. And I think they do a really good job of kind of giving everybody what they want, what they need to work with everybody. You know, you can bring your same trains you had when you were a kid and run on this layout as well as you can these. So, and we have people that do. We never turn anybody away. Always at the show, you'll get a guy that'll bring you his dusty box, the train he had when he was a kid. He's like, well, let's run. Give us a couple minutes. More often than not, we'll get them running.
Well, it's like I said, it's not a hobby for everybody, but those of us who are in it love it. And I always say, give it a try. And I think the interesting thing, a lot of people I think are interested and they don't know where to join a club. There are plenty of clubs around though. If you if you see a flyer or go to a train show and talk to anybody, they'll tell you how to get into the hobby.
We're now doing this every March, St. Patrick's Day weekend. The other show we do every year is at the Civic Center on Thanksgiving Day weekend, or Thanksgiving weekend. So we have 2 shows a year, 6 months apart. We think that's pretty good spacing to keep everybody kind of interested in the shows, and it doesn't wear out on a bunch of old guys trying to do stuff too much. We do the show at Civic Center and Thanksgiving weekend up in Huntington, in both these layouts, and almost everything you see in this room goes there. So yes, you'll see in the other room, we got the Kanawha Valley guys down here, and they've got a 15 by 20 layout, HO, and we have connected with them now. One of our other goals here is back in the 50s, it was a regional club. We had Huntington people, we had Charleston people, and we kind of met in everybody's home. Over time, it kind of evolved and we separated. Now we're kind of coming home again. We're trying to connect with Parkersburg, Charleston, Ashland, Huntington, so that we kind of collectively have a bigger group and get more involved year-round. Go to Facebook and just do a Google on the Appalachian Model Railroad Society. You'll pull up our Facebook site. They have points of contact there. We're at the Kanawha Mall every Monday morning from 9 o'clock till noon, and we're here on Thursdays from 5:30 to 8:30. And you can stop in at any one of those times. We're a real expensive club. $30 due for the whole year. You don't even have to own a train. We have layouts here. You can run trains. All you got to have is basically an interest in trains. And the other thing I ask people is, do you have a strong back? Because both these layouts here are mobile, and we take them to other shows. So not only an interest in trains, you also have to be able to help out and do a little grunt work, I call it, to move these from one side to another.